Hello everybody and welcome back to my Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a very short video on the Bass Cat Triangle live wells. I was down at Copper State Marine talking to David Lewis about the Bass Cats and various things. By the way, David and Lewis and the Copper State Tackle / Marine donated $500 to the smallmouth project. So I said, man, I thank him for it. I thank him again. And I mentioned that I would do a video for him on the Triangle live wells because some guys looking at Bass Cats are concerned about Triangle live wells. They just doesn't sit well with them. And let me just tell you that when I was researching this Bass Cat Caracal, it's the SP model. They don't make it anymore. It's one of the last versions of it made in 2023. I've had it for 2 years. And I researched the whole thing, the deck layout. I wanted to know all about it. And then I bought the boat sight unseen, ordered it sight unseen. And never were these Triangle live wells a concern for me. Probably because I watched other people's videos about these triangles, about these Triangle live wells. So let me just get into it and let me talk to you. Before I show anything, I want to talk. I have two stories. The first story was 18 months ago. I was fishing out of Mojave Lake at Catherine's Landing, and we were 20 miles up fishing up this river, up lake, I should say, and it was the second day of the tournament, and we had a little under 18 pounds, 1780 or 90 of smallmouth, and they were distributed between the two live wells, of course. You know, it was springtime, so the water wasn't super hot. But one of our club members in the Midweek Bass Anglers of Arizona, one of our club members had engine trouble and said, "Hey Joe, can you take my fish back with you?" Turns out they had 18.5 pounds of fish. Okay, so I pulled my fish out, put them all on one side. I grabbed their fish, 18.5 pounds, and put it in their side. Now, these live wells, just, you know, those fish were fine in there. We had to drive 20 miles back to Catherine's Landing in about a 2-foot chop. What I did is I turned on the recirculator, put that on. I turned off the aerator for the run. Otherwise, you're just sucking dry air. And I took off, and when I got back, of course, the fish were fine. I'm going to tell you a couple reasons why they were fine, and Triangle live wells were one of the reasons they were fine when I was heading into a 2.5-foot chop doing this kind of stuff, right? I'll talk about that in a second. So, I mean, if that isn't a story, you know, massive amounts of fish in each live well, you know, should help you in your deciding on the Triangle live wells. The second thing is, now watch this video. This was my 10-pounder I caught at Apache Lake this spring, and watch this. That live well just swallows that 10-pounder. When I drop it in there, look at it. It's like swallow. And not only that, I'm going to show you here in a second, that was a long 10-pounder, okay? And that fish just fit in the live well in the long side of the Triangle perfectly. Was no concern about the fish. It didn't have to bend its tail. It was just sat in there nicely. So let's go ahead and let's just run through the live well. I'll be using my shoulder camera now, and we'll be looking in here. First of all, notice the latches. I'm going to talk about those latches in a second, but I'm going to open this up. There's no water in here now, but as you can see, look how big these live wells are, okay? Look, I put my whole arm down in there, okay? Plenty of space for these fish, a lot of room. A couple things to notice. These are Bubba fish clamps, okay? And what I do, this is an aerator bar. I just stick it on there, clamp it down, and I stick that into there. You see how I do that? Very nice. I just have 3 because we fish summer tournaments. There are 2 aerator bars on each side. And if you notice right there, okay, that's where the water drains out. And if you notice, I'm going to stick away under here. That gives me a full hand of width of space. So let me go put some water in here, and I'm going to talk about the aerating system. Here's the panel, and I have a bunch of choices, okay? Aerator, pump in, recirculate, and then pump out. So let's fire up the aerator here. So now let me close the valve. The valve is right here. Okay, so I'm going to close the valve so it holds water. Okay, if you notice, on the top aerator bar, this is water being pumped into the live well from the outside, okay? Keep that in mind. I'm going to turn that one off for a second. Okay. I go from off to 5 minutes to 3 minutes to off, okay? And then I'm going to do a pump in. This pump in is on or off. So as you can see right there, I'm just pumping water in on one side, okay, for now. But water's getting in. There's another nozzle. It's just coming in there. I can turn both of them on. It's probably in the way. Let me turn. And now I've got incredible amounts of water being pumped in. As a matter of fact, so much water is being pumped in, these exit valves, they're not a valve, but the exit ports can't keep up. There's one on this side, and it can't keep up. So just keep that in mind. This can really move a lot of water. And also keep in mind that you have two ways to pump in water. So what I'm going to do now is turn those off and just do recirculate. So now you'll notice the lower bar is just recirculating. Now, it's taking the water all the way from the bottom of the sump, and it's recirculating, which is a really good thing to do, because when fish excrete ammonia, it'll sink to the bottom, and when these pumps pull it from directly from the bottom and recirculates it, going through these aerator bars, it actually breaks up the ammonia as best it can, and it changes the composition. So that's a really good thing to do. Now, what I'm going to do next here is turn both the aerator on, and I have the recirc on. So now I'm doing both. I'm pumping water in, and I'm aerating. So look at all this water. Okay, this is amazing. I'm going to close this up for now, and I'm going to talk about this for a second here. Okay, so one of the things to note here, there are 3 pumps. One is the aerator, which pulls water from the outside into the boat through the aerator bars. So it's pumping water in, and it's adding even more oxygen. There's a second pump that just pumps water in, just puts water in the live well. And there's a third pump here that just recirculates through the aerator bar. So if you do the math on that, no matter what you do, you have backup. Okay, so the aerator and the pump actually pulls water in, okay, into the live well. So if one of your pumps go bad, or you're out on the tournament or day fishing or something, you still have a way to get water in. Then there's the recirculator, which runs through the aerator bar that puts water in, pulling the water from the bottom. But there's also the pump that pulls the water from outside the boat through the aerators and aerates the fish. So with between 3 pumps, you always can get water in your boat, and you can probably always get aeration if you have troubles with one of your pumps. Okay, so that's just fantastic. It's really awesome. So that is a really good thing about them. Now let's talk about the other things. I'm going to turn this off for a second here. There'll be some water in there. Again, it's on manual. It goes to 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes it runs for a period of time. I don't know the time duration. I'm sorry about that. And then every 3 minutes and off. And every manual 5 and 3 and off. Okay, so when I'm doing this in the summer, I'll put water in, I'll fill it up. It's not full now. I'll fill it up, and then I'll put the aerator on. I'm sorry, the recirc on. Just let the recirc run all day. If it's summer, I want to put ice, or I put frozen jugs. I'll fill it up. I'll put the frozen jugs on one side. Okay, it has this separator. I put the frozen jugs on one side, and then I'll just run the recirc all day. If I need to, if I feel like it, I can pump the water out, and I can go ahead and then put fresh water in. But I'll probably lose some of the cooler water, but there it is. Now, one thing you're going to notice is there's none of these things, these latches. See this latch here that goes through? See that latch right there that goes through? Okay. Doesn't exist on a Bass Cat live well in the premium models. It's really important because these act in the summer. Okay, the sun hits these, it transfers the heat right through there, and frankly, it acts like a blowtorch. Okay, it acts as a blowtorch to put heat into your live well. It doesn't exist on the Bass Cat. Okay, that's important for Arizona bass fishing. Another thing to note is the latches here and the little latch clamp, if you want to call it that. That's right here, how you latch it down. See that? They also do not go through. And this is rubber. This is a very hard rubber insulator. So there's an insulator on this side, and there's the insulator here to help keep the heat from going into the live well. So that's amazing, especially for Arizona. So this triangle live well is actually superior to all the other boats that have the latch that goes through, which acts as a blowtorch of heat, if you will. It's crazy. I use the word blowtorch, but have you ever touched one of those when it's 10 o'clock in the morning? You burn your finger, they're so hot. So what is that doing? That's just transferring that heat right into that live well. Now, let's talk about the triangle thing, right? I mentioned the 10-pounder. The 10-pounder fit the long way right here without any issues. It just fit right in there. So that's awesome. Another thing to keep in mind is that when you have a square or a rectangle and you start hitting waves at a certain way, like when I ran 20 miles back to Catherine's Landing from 20 miles upstream, you get this rhythm. Boosh, boosh, boosh. Well, that starts creating a wave form inside the live well, okay? So the water will be doing this, it might be doing this, depending on what's going on. So the more of this you get, the more the fish are sloshing around and being bumped around. Okay, with the triangle thing, as soon as a wave starts, it gets collapsed, okay? It's like a waveform collapse design. So as soon as the wave starts and it wants to create a wave, it hits the triangle part. I'm trying to do this. It hits the triangle part and just dissipates. So you don't get this massive wave thing. Lastly, let me pump some more water in here. There's headroom of about the size of my hand. Maybe that's 5 inches. That headroom is also an insulator. So no blowtorch, okay, through the lid, and a substantial insulator from the #1 heat source is the sun, okay? So these Bass Cats are incredibly well designed. They hold tons of fish. I don't know what to say. I'm never worried about my fish in my live wells that they're triangle. I don't worry, okay? I worry about catching fish and getting them in the boat. That's my biggest problem right now at the moment. So anyway, folks, I hope this is useful and helpful to you, understanding the Bass Cat triangle live wells, okay? It's not a deal. It's not even a concern. If it is a concern, please watch this video again, okay? And try to understand what I'm, hopefully explaining it well enough you understand. Anyway, hey, everybody, thanks for watching this video. And I'm going to do a couple more videos here at this location, and I want you to watch them too. So please check them out when you see them and give them a watch.